Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon. Jack Lencioni reveals ideal date after talking with Susan Noles. Undeniably, Bachelor Nation has been playing matchmaker with contestants from Jerry Turner and Joan Vasso's pools of contestants. Golden Bachelorette Jack Lencioni is working his magic to get together with Golden Bachelor Susan Noles. He discusses the ideal date. Jack Lencioni made a big impression. Although it didn't work out for Joan Vassos and Jack Lencioni to go to the end together, Jack is a clear fan favorite. Almost immediately after introducing Jack to Bachelor Nation, fans saw a perfect match for him with the Golden Bachelor star, Susan Noles. During an interview with Ryan Field and Jen Matarese on Playing the Field, Jack Lencioni admits he would love to go on Golden Bachelor in Paradise, or even be the bartender to crack jokes. Likewise, he shared he had a great time going through the Bachelor Nation experience. He made good friends, especially Dan Romer and Greg Lasson. Additionally, he says that Joan is a real class act. Although he didn't get the girl during his mansion stay, fans have helped him connect with Susan. He is playing the field after the Golden Bachelorette. However, during the Playing the Field, Jack Lencioni also says he is talking to Susan Noles. Jen Matarese asks if any of the Golden Bachelor women have piqued his interest. Undeniably, many Bachelor Nation fans think Jack and Susan would be a match made in heaven. Jack says, "We've been talking on the phone actually. I talked to her this morning." Ryan Field asks for clarification. "Who's that? Susan?" When he confirms, Jen screams, "Yes." Both Ryan and Jen immediately cheered when Jack revealed they were working on putting together a date. Although their schedules are a little screwed up, they are getting the details together. Likewise, Ryan and Jen mentioned that Kathy Swartz wants Jack to hook her up with his good friend and Golden Bachelorette buddy, Greg Lasson. Admittedly, he had just gotten off the phone with Greg as well. They were discussing his home in Florida being threatened by the hurricanes. Undoubtedly, Jack thinks a double date would be a great time for all of them to get together. Jack Lencioni reveals ideal date after talking with Susan Noles. After Jen Matarese clarifies, "Wait, so are you guys going to go on a date? For real?" Jack Lencioni confirms it is in the works. Furthermore, discussing Jack's plans to date Susan Noles, he gave details about his ideal date with her. Ryan and Jen mentioned that paparazzi might be around, so they probably will need to keep it on the down low. When they asked about his plans, he said, "I think it'll be a beautiful idea. And maybe we get a beautiful restaurant, a little wine, a little dinner, maybe a little dancing. It'll be all good." Although he made a big splash with his pink sports coat, he thinks he will leave it at home to be more low-key. But Jen suggests a salmon-colored shirt could be a good alternative. And Ryan knows that Susan is a sports fan, so she would be okay if Jack wears his Dick Butkus jersey. Although all the details aren't set in concrete, it seems to be progressing well. But Jack says he has many women sliding into his DMs. Undeniably, he did this journey his way. Jack Lencioni leaned back in his chair, a gentle smile playing on his lips, as he reflected on the whirlwind of emotions he had experienced over the past few weeks. Sitting across from him, the camera crew waited eagerly, ready to capture the latest revelation from the charming Southern gentleman who had captured hearts across the nation on the Golden Bachelorette . But today, it wasn't just about him or the journey he'd been on. Today, it was about Susan Noles, the radiant woman who had come into his life like a refreshing breeze. Jack had never expected to feel this way, not at this stage in his life, but as the show had progressed, something about Susan drew him in deeper with each interaction. Now, after one particularly meaningful conversation with her, he felt ready to share what an ideal date would look like if he were lucky enough to plan one for her. With a deep breath, Jack began to speak, his southern drawl as warm and comforting as a summer night. "You know, I've been thinking a lot about what makes a perfect date. And it ain't about the fancy restaurants or the big gestures. It's about connection, about finding those little moments where two people really see each other. He paused for a moment, as if to gather his thoughts, and his eyes lit up as he continued. If I were to plan a date for Susan, it'd start off simple. I think we'd meet in the late afternoon, just as the sun was starting to set. There's this little place near my home in Georgia, an old country farm with wide open fields, the kind of place where you can hear the crickets chirping and feel the breeze on your skin. That's where I'd take her. Jack's voice softened as he described the scene, painting a vivid picture of the quiet beauty that filled his imagination. We take a slow walk through the fields, maybe hand in hand, just talking about life, about our families, our dreams, about everything that's led us to this point. There wouldn't be any rush. It'd just be us, surrounded by nature, with the smell of wildflowers in the air and the golden glow of the sun setting behind the trees. The thought of such a peaceful, intimate setting seemed to resonate deeply with Jack. His face softened as he talked about how much he valued the small, meaningful moments in life. I think Susan would appreciate that, he said thoughtfully. She's got this natural grace about her, you know. She doesn't need anything flashy. I think she'd enjoy the quiet and the simplicity of just being together without any distractions. But Jack wasn't finished. His smile grew as he added, after our walk, I'd set up a little picnic under an old oak tree. Nothing too fancy, just some homemade sandwiches, fresh fruit, maybe a bottle of wine. I'd bring one of those checkered blankets, and we'd sit down and enjoy a meal together while the stars started to come out. There's something so magical about sharing food with someone, especially under the night sky. It's like time slows down, and you're able to really be present in the moment. As he described this idyllic scene, it was clear that Jack wasn't just talking about any date. He was talking about creating a memory, something that would last far beyond the show or the cameras. We'd probably talk about all sorts of things, he mused. I'd want to know more about her, her favorite childhood memories, the places she's always wanted to visit, the things that make her laugh. His eyes twinkled as he added, and knowing me, I'd probably throw in a joke or two. I've always believed that laughter is the best way to connect with someone. If we can laugh together, that's a good sign. The date, however, wouldn't end with the picnic. Jack had something else in mind, something that would make the evening even more special. After we finished eating, I'd pull out an old radio I've got. It plays vinyl records, you know. I'd put on some music, something classic like Frank Sinatra or maybe a little bit of Motown. And then, right there under the stars, I'd ask Susan to dance. He paused for a moment, a faraway look in his eyes as he imagined the scene. It wouldn't be anything fancy, just a slow dance, holding her close and swaying to the music. There's something so romantic about dancing under the stars, just the two of you, with no one else around. It's intimate, personal. And in that moment, I'd hope she'd feel as special as I see her. Jack's voice trailed off slightly, as if lost in the thought of that perfect night. But then he smiled again, a little more brightly this time, as if to lighten the mood. Of course, I'd probably step on her toes a couple of times, he chuckled, but hopefully she wouldn't mind too much. I'd make it up to her with a twirl or two. As the conversation came to a close, Jack leaned forward slightly, his expression more serious now, but still filled with that signature warmth. I think the most important thing about an ideal date is making the other person feel seen and appreciated, he said.